And ladies and gentlemen, joining me our top guest for 9 p.m. tonight on yet another budget evening. It's always lovely to talk to him. He was there last budget as well. And Union Minister for Commerce and Industry needs no introduction. Piyush Goyal, fantastic. Congratulations all round this. Even your critics don't have anything much to say. Even Chidambaram looked lost for words in his rather boring press conference in response today. But the big story, Mr. Goyal, nil tax slab for up to 12 lakhs. And the finance minister kept this till the very end, and there was huge build-up. What impact do you think that will have? What's the thought there?
Arnab, thank you for having me on the show. It's 12 lakhs and also 12 lakhs 75,000 for salary earners, which is a large component of the middle class. So they will have to pay no tax. So effectively, almost the entire middle class is going to be tax-free. Those above 12 lakhs also have got a benefit ranging from 50,000-60,000 to about 1,10,000.
Hello.
So it's really a budget that gives so much more money into the pocket of the middle class,
little more,
which ultimately will go to boost consumption demand, which will ultimately go to increase the demand for goods and services, which will give a boost to trade, which will give a boost to manufacturing, which will ultimately lead to more jobs. It's actually a virtuous cycle that we are creating. On the one hand, infrastructure investments continue at 11,20,000 crores. Consumption is going to get a big boost. Developed economies the world over have always grown their economies on these two pegs, infrastructure and consumption. And with this massive relief to middle class, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Finance Minister Nirmala Ji have truly set the path, have created the foundation for Viksit Bharat 2047.
But you're also foregoing a lot of income. So that means that obviously you're betting on growth.
We are betting big on growth, but despite foregoing a lakh of crores, which will go straight into the pocket of the middle class, imagine the fiscal deficit is at only 4.4%. Nobody had imagined that current year it would be at only 4.8 and next year at 4.4. We were all expecting current year to be about 5 and 4.6% next year. It shows the deft handling of the economy. It also shows that India has truly moved to a corruption-free government where all public services are reaching the last man at the bottom of the pyramid with no leakages, because of which, even with lesser resources, we are able to deliver much more public welfare. Economy is growing, we're the fastest growing economy in the world. We are ensuring low tax regime. We are attracting high foreign direct investment. Domestic industry players have also started committing huge amounts of investments and creating new jobs. Our startup ecosystem is vibrant. We are now the world's third largest. Another 10,000 crores has been committed as startup fund number 2. So all in all, the Indian economy is demonstrating all the signs of a rapid build-up towards prosperity and a developed nation.
Also, congratulations on the export promotion mission. Comes straight under your ministry, going to be handled jointly by Commerce, MSME and the Ministry of Finance. Now, I want you, because you understand things so well and you understand the US so well, all of this is happening at a time when there's this big fear that, we're going to be targeted with tariffs by an angry Trump-led government. You think that's going to happen? Is that a worry? Are we preparing for that with the export promotion mission? What's the idea there? Because you have had a lot of exporters meeting you, expressing their concern about whether we may be targeted. I want you to just give a picture of the export scenario A, the idea of the promotion mission, and the possible consequences of whatever the Trump administration will or will not do.
We will close the current year with a record $800 billion of exports. And this is despite the fact that petroleum goods export has come down. Gem and jewelry, which has certain stress in the world markets, because discretionary spending is down, has come down. So despite petroleum, gem and jewelry coming down, we'll cross the threshold of 800 billion. Services exports are vibrant. Global capability centers are growing rapidly. The world is coming to India for talent, for skills, and for services. I personally see the export mission further giving a boost in our efforts to market India, in our efforts to focus on select products where there's huge potential, looking at value-added products, looking at products which create a lot of jobs in the Indian economy. I think it's a great opportunity to grow our exports towards $1 trillion in the next 2 or 3 years. Having said that, I think we will obviously be faced with several challenges along the way, but Prime Minister Modi converts every challenge into an opportunity. He shares a strong bond of friendship with President Trump. We have already agreed to work together as friends do, as partners do, as strategic colleagues do. We are very confident that with the United States also, we will be able to strike up a very good working relationship. We have lots to do together with our friends in the US. We have worked with the Trump administration last time around very well, and I'm sure in the months and years to come, we'll continue to strengthen the Indo-US partnership to even greater heights. And really, India is no threat to the US. We are both democracies. We both have transparent rule of law. We both support each other's ideas. We are both producing different types of goods. So many of our goods are intermediate goods, which will support the Make in America plan of President Trump. Many of our goods are goods which will replace non-transparent economies and substandard goods coming from other parts of the world with high-quality Indian goods. So we really have a great opportunity to work together. I'm looking forward to working with my counterparts in the Trump administration to further strengthen this beautiful relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, between businesses in the US and India, and between the people of the United States and India.
Oh, you know, I'll just say one thing, viewers, we are watching this interview, watch very closely what Piyush Goyal is saying, because after the Prime Minister goes to the US and back, you will look back upon this interview and say, was he giving a hint there? Now, viewers, he's giving a hint there. Piyush Goyal is the kind of person the Trump administration will work well with. He's a very tough negotiator, very tough negotiator. Once a video of him negotiating right there with some foreign visitors on a metro went viral, so he talks straight. And I get a feeling, Piyush ji, if I can say so, that when you say you're going to turn it into an opportunity, I feel you're going to do something big in terms of trade with the US. I think there's already something in the works. Obviously, you won't give me all the details, but something is in the works.
Well, I have...
Your smile gives it away a little bit.
Courage of conviction. I have the courage of conviction that with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the country's leader, he will certainly, and with his deep relationship and bonds with President Trump, he will certainly be able to continue this Indo-US strategic partnership, take it to greater heights, and I'm confident that President Trump also will appreciate that in India he has a trusted friend in Prime Minister Modi. He has a person who really respects the American businesses, who has worked very well with America over the last 11 years. And I'm sure going forward, US and India together will work as friends, as partners, and in a win-win situation for both countries.
Okay. One quick question before I close. Some people are saying that we could top 8% now, growth. You know, it was tempered a little bit, and in the last 2 to 3 months, industry elsewhere have been a slight slowing down of consumer demand. People express concerns. Some sections of the media overreact to that. You've effectively silenced all of those people who are, you know, the Lutyens, sudden champions of the middle class, saying that Modi government has let down middle class. They have nothing more to say. But you're betting on growth. Let me put the question in that context. Can we top 8%? Can we actually move much faster than we had planned even 6 months back?
I personally think Prime Minister Narendra Modi is working in a very steady manner towards that objective. He doesn't rush things. He doesn't do half-baked things. He's very cautious, very careful, very calibrated in his approach, but very focused to achieving high targets and meeting the demands and the dreams of 1.4 billion people. I have the confidence that Prime Minister Modi very systematically, see, on the one hand is strengthening the macroeconomic fundamentals of the economy, bringing inflation down, steadily remaining the world's fastest growing economy, ensuring fiscal prudence, only 4.4% fiscal deficit, strengthening foreign exchange reserve. So very nicely and smoothly, he has strengthened the Indian macroeconomic fundamentals. He focused on investments in infrastructure, and you can see the impact of that all over the country. Now he has put money into the pocket of the middle class, which will promote consumption-led growth. Simultaneously, look where his eyes are. Footwear and leather, 22 lakh jobs. Toys, to become a global leader in toys. Makhana, simple thing like makhana, support to the farmer. Cotton, improve the productivity of cotton. Provide more finance. KCC limit, 3 lakh to 5 lakh. MSME limits, all doubled 2.5 times what they were. Providing more funds to promote growth. Tourism, 50 new destinations. Work in partnership with the states. Incentivize states, 1.5 lakh crores, 50-year zero interest loan. That's like a grant. The net present value of the money they have to pay back is 1%, 2%. They really have, it's like a grant. But it supports states' efforts to provide last mile connectivity. Supports homestays through his measures. Hotels will be provided land at affordable prices so that tourism gets a boost. Udan 2 has come out, 4 crore passengers, 120 new destinations. Just see the holistic and comprehensive development agenda which will spur growth. I don't think people have as yet been able to appreciate or connect the dots that this is a very, very far-reaching, impactful budget with a vision that only a visionary like Prime Minister Modi can have.
And I think it's very deft handling. And you know, when you said 4.4%, I must tell you, I couldn't believe it because we were all betting around 4.7% and expecting, as you're saying, about 5%, 4.9 to 5%. It's unbelievable. And I think this is great for the middle class. And I would like to thank you. And Piyush Goyalji, we are going to watch you very closely as you go on that US visit. At every move of yours, as they say in that song, I'll be watching you. Thank you very much, Piyush Goyal, for joining us on this pre-budget, post-budget chat. Thank you very much, Piyush. Thank you. Okay, so can we hit 8%? I have a great panel. I have Sanjeev Srivastava, senior journalist, joining us tonight, and we have Santosh Mehrotra, Professor Santosh Mehrotra, the angry Santosh Mehrotra, great person, great panels. Lokesh is joining us tonight. And we have Agent Provocateur Ajay Bagga out there. He's so popular all across channels. Today it's tough to get time with, everyone wants a piece of Ajay Bagga. So we got a piece of him at 9. And we have Sushil Kedia here with us. Opening this up with you, Ajay. And Ajay and Santosh will provide opposite sides, then I'll open it up, okay? Ajay, in 1 minute, can we hit 8%? KV Subramaniam put out a very interesting tweet where he did the whole mathematics of how he expects the middle class to save 20%, spend 80%, and how that money will flow into the economy, have a multiplier effect, and hit 8% growth. It's very much possible, he said. What's your take?
8% this year will depend on a lot of other things falling in place, Arnab. I have seen KVS's tweet. It is very well thought out and optimistic. But to hit 8%, which means nominal of about 12 and a half, it will need a lot more. Morning, I was fortunate enough to start the morning with you, Arnab, and I'm ending the last show with you. So
Yes.
my good fortune, I'm not your agent provocateur. I was very much available. So what I would say, Arnab, that it's a balanced budget. They have focused on consumption while holding infrastructure. If you look at infrastructure, 5 years back, the last 5 years, so from 14 to 19, we would have spent 10 lakh crores on capex over 5 years. Now, for the last 3 years, we are spending 9.5, 10.2, and 11 in the coming year. That is the kind of investment that's going in, capacity building that's going in into this economy. This year, I don't think 8% GDP growth in real terms is that easy. But what are the factors which will help that? One, I think on February 7th, RBI will cut rates. RBI has already injected about 1,50,000 crores of durable liquidity into the system. RBI cuts rates. That takes 9 to 12 months to flow into the economy. It will have some time. Second, this consumption boost, which this budget has done, that starts kicking in from 1st April. Third, this year now, we don't have the national elections. We don't have a Maharashtra election, which is one of our biggest states in terms of GSTP, gross state GDP. That is not there. So you will have very big policy clarity going into April 1. You're going to have the benefit of a full year coming up. I think all those things are going to be conducive. The negative is Trump tariffs and what you were talking to Piyush Goyalji. I think it's very critical how the Prime Minister's visit goes and what we get out of Trump over the next 2 weeks. That will also be critical. But a lot of things are coming together, Arnab, not this year, but maybe in a couple of years, we will start hitting on a regular basis, we will hit 8%.
Okay.
One thing, in our wish list in the morning, Arnab, what we were discussing, that fiscal space is very limited. So fiscal stimulus will be difficult. They have taken 1 lakh crores out of infra and put it into consumption. That's good. So we have some amount of fiscal stimulus. Monetary stimulus is coming next week, but it takes 2 to 3 quarters to come into the economy. What was needed was reform stimulus. So I have great hope on the direct tax bill coming next week. And it's a bill, Arnab. Earlier we were thinking it will be put up for discussion, but it's coming as a bill. 15 very senior income tax commissioners have got together. 40 people have worked on it. And people who have had a look at earlier stages, we don't know the final version, but earlier stages are very happy with it. If you look at, Arnab, when I started studying in the 80s, the Income Tax Act was this big. It had become this big by now. Because the irrelevant provisions also were not going out, that is going to give a lot of boost and ease of doing business. But
Yes.
reform stimulus remains very much to be done. I think a lot will come on that.
Yeah.
That would make surmise.
So Professor Mehrotra, I think Ajay has put out extremely reasonable perspective. He says we could move towards 8% this year, but on a trot cross 8% after that. And it's just in a brilliant situation. I'm sure even someone like you will not be able to find any fault. You can't find fault with the fiscal deficit. You can't find fault with the capital spending. You can't find fault with the disposable income. With the 0% tax up to 12 lakh, or to the wings given to manufacturing, the high capex or the tax cuts. And even the agriculture sector has been given a major boost, much higher allocation, defense, power sector, and all of this contributing to opening up new gates for FDI. And of course, startups and deep tech and everything else. Is there anything to find fault in? And why would 8% not be possible unless one were a cynic? Can you unmute yourself, sir? Unmute yourself, sir, please. No, I can't hear you. we're having some problem with your audio. I want to give it one more minute, please, to see if we can get his view on it. Are you unmuted, sir? Or can we external unmute Professor Mehrotra? No, sir. There is a problem there. I'll pass that to Sushil. I'll pass that to, before I go to you, Vijay. Let me go across to Sanjeev Srivastava on that. Sanjeev, this has been an excellent budget by most terms. Middle class very happy, right? Okay, sir, Professor Mehrotra is back, so let me take him back. Are you there, sir? Yes.
I'm not muted.
No, you're fine now. You're fine now. You're fine now, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I have no desire to be cynical at all. But if you give me a chance, as you gave to Mr. Bagga, then you will hear.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Oh, I'm very grateful to you already, sir. Very grateful. So let's just remind ourselves that the economy has grown over the last 10 years, Mr. Goswami, at 5.8%. Okay? It's not grown at anywhere close to 8%. It's grown at 5.8%. Now, let me tell you that
including the COVID year?
Of course, including the COVID year, but even if you abstract from the COVID year, the fact of the matter is that, we were tanking, the economy was tanking before COVID, Mr. Goswami. So that's why, you see, if you keep interrupting as you didn't interrupt Mr. Piyush Goyal, Mr. Bagga, if you keep interrupting, you will not understand my argument. I'm trying to give you an argument. If you hear me, I'll give you the argument. It's a very straightforward argument. We've done it before. I told you we've done it. I was in the Planning Commission from 2004 to 14. We've done it before. We can do it again. But this government doesn't have the strategy, and therefore it cannot do it. So let me explain how it doesn't have a strategy. Firstly, the strategy that was laid out to us by Mr. Piyush Goyal was that 15% of the people who pay 15% of the workforce. We have a 100% workforce, which is 600 million people. 15% of the workforce pay income tax. Now you're giving them a consumption boost, and suddenly you are expecting that's going to drive the economy. So that's failed logic one straight away. Secondly, you keep telling me about how massive the infrastructure investment has been. The fact of the matter is that investment to GDP ratio in this government's regime over the last 10 years has averaged somewhere between 26 and 32%.
Yes.
Between 2004 to 14, when we grew at 7.8% per annum, investment to GDP ratio, which included private investment, please note, which is not what is, growing, investment to GDP overall was between 31 and 38% on average, which is the reason why we grew at the rate as we did, and we generated jobs, and the jobs were growing in the unorganized sector, and the investment was being driven also by the MSME sector. Trouble is, let me come to the third concern I have. Mr. Goyal, rightly pointed out that exports are of the order of $800 billion. Fact of the matter is our merchandise exports are not growing. Our exports are being driven essentially by services. That is where the problem is. And you had that problem earlier, you still have that problem. He made us believe that, our FDI is amazing. Well, actually, gross FDI has been coming down. And net FDI is not growing, unlike what you might like to believe. And a significant amount of the FDI is actually going into mergers and acquisitions. It's not going into new greenfield sites. And finally, a lot of that FDI, Mr. Goswami, unfortunately, is going into simply services or into construction. So we might be the fastest growing large economy in the world, we have certainly not succeeded in so far bringing down
Right.
the inflation rate. So let's not kid ourselves.
Okay, no, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
In the region of 5 to 6%.
I'm not
food
kidding.
inflation is running at 9 to 10%.
I am not kidding. But
Thank
I have
you,
given you full time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, if I say a few things, I thank you very much, sir. I'm very obliged. I'm very happy that you are here and you are saying what you are doing, and you're doing what you are doing, and you're saying what you're saying, and all that. Now, everyone on. I'll show a few visuals on the right while I'm talking about this. Now, you know, the problem is, sir, that if I say a few things, you'll take it personally, walk out of the program, you shout and you'll walk out of the program and all that. But you know, because I've experienced that, you know, I'm suffering from that kind of a Professor Santosh. I suffer. There you see, I haven't even said it. You're already shouting it. So you are like, you know, you are like that tough professor I had in first year. Before the student can raise his hand, he starts shouting at him. Please don't do that, sir. Please don't do that, sir. My question to you is, sir, that, you know, you have a fantastic quality. You like to pull water out of a rock. You, even in these times, will find something to fault. I'll tell you one thing. When you were probably in the Planning Commission, capital expenditure was destroyed by the Manmohan. Now let me say these things. Like capital expenditure was destroyed. Capital expenditure was destroyed. The reduced plan expenditure by 80,000 crores in the 2014 interim budget almost killed all the productive government expenditure. You put all the money in Manrega. You wanted to maintain the deficit after doing that. Now, sir, I tell you, don't walk out on me today. You walk out every day. The jhoot nahi bol raha hu main. Capital expenditure in 2013-14 was 2.29 lakh crores. Right? Today it is 11.21 lakh crores, 389% up. You should be happy. You should be happy.
What was the GDP?
But you're unhappy.
I'm telling you, I'm not unhappy. We were growing at 7 to 8%.
You were not. There was jobless growth. That was jobless growth.
I told you.
That was jobless growth.
No, excuse me. No. 7.5 million new non-farm jobs were being created annually between 2004 to 14. That number has been halved by your government.
Your Congress government admitted officially that it has created jobless growth.
That was only for 2 years, Arnab.
What was 2 years? You admitted jobless growth, Lokesh. You admitted jobless growth.
Stagflation you're talking about was only after the Greek crisis, about the Eurozone crisis happened in 2012.
Yeah.
After the Eurozone crisis, India, it suffered from stagflation.
One minute. No, there is no 1 minute. So I'll get to Sanjeev out here. You know, the problem here is, what do I say? What do I say today to Santosh Mehrotra? KV Subramaniam is joining us, who believes in 8%. But what do I say to Santosh Mehrotra? You know, the UPA tenure was the tenure of jobless growth, and that jobless growth, Santosh Mehrotra on the screen, please defend me from being the only one facing his ire tonight. The jobless growth was admitted by UPA 1. It was because of low infrastructural growth. Somebody keep him on, because I don't even know if he's walked out. Producers, don't do this on me. Yeah, he's waiting to walk out. But UPA admitted jobless growth. Self-employed workforce shrunk. There was a shrinking of the workforce.
Non-farm jobs. 7.5 million new non-farm jobs each year.
Anyway.
Non-farm, not 80 million jobs in agriculture as was claimed by Clems, as the PM has been claiming. That's the reality. That's what we will just hear from KV, my good friend.
Yeah, we'll hear from KV. Sanjeev, just stay on. Now the point is, KV put out a tweet, and you weren't very kind on the tweet. No point calling him a good friend now. You just tore apart his tweet a second back. Now you're saying he's a friend.
I haven't even seen his tweet. Forgive me, I haven't even seen his tweet.
I quoted his tweet to you. I said he did the mathematics on how much will be saved, how much will be spent, and has proven through 8 excellent points that we are hitting 8%. And you said, ha. You had that kind of an approach to it. What do you mean, hoga to dekha jayega? Okay, KV is 8% possible. This whole debate is around here. 8% possible or impossible?
Was it possible?
Yeah, be happy then smile. Smile. Say it's happening.
I'm smiling, Baba.
You're not smiling.
I think it is definitely possible. As I've said, the impact on consumption, I think, will be substantial because the consumption multiplier, the amount that's been given is large. Actually, it's a 1 lakh crore in the pockets of the middle class,
they'll spend it. They'll spend it.
That will be in the.
They'll spend it.
Yes, middle class actually, if you look at the, I've used the data to actually, to back this up. If you look at the savings rate for 2023, it is 18.3%. In other words, for every 100 rupees that is earned, middle class households actually save about 18 rupees and spend the remaining. So of this, about 80% is likely to be spent. And then there is, I've also put another tweet explaining the concept of consumption multiplier, which basically happens from the fact that, I buy from you, Arnab, and therefore you get money, you go and spend it more. And then that, let's say you spend it and the money reaches Sanjeev and so on. So that's how the consumption multiplier works. I think it is important to remember that unlike in the case of infrastructure, where the impact of actually positive impact is felt across years, in a measure like this, where consumption boost will happen only for 1 year. It's a short-term thing. But I think it can possibly help, to spur private capex. If you recall, pre-budget, we were talking about this, the need for private capex to increase. I think, industry has been saying that, there isn't, enough demand. Now this will actually spur demand, and therefore, I really hope that industry actually, stops giving any reasons and comes to the party and does the private capex.
Yeah, and they've got 11.2 lakh capex allocation. Sanjeev, as a political journalist and everyone on, I've been, meaning to ask you this. The only thing that the Modi government was criticized for, even by Sushil, by people who are BJP supporters, is that they've not done enough for the middle class. Am I right?
Absolutely.
That's been the huge issue. You're okay, you're fine, but you've been unkind to those who support you.
That's been one big.
That's been one.
issue.
Now, does that go away now with this? My question to Sanjeev Srivastava, does that matter get settled and put the BJP also in a very strong political position?
Well, the middle class should be happy with this budget. So no income tax till 12 lakh rupees is, it has surprised everyone. People were expecting maybe the income tax limit will be raised to 10 lakhs from 7 lakhs, but it went up to 12. So that's a very good thing. Number two, very good thing was there was no unpleasant surprise in the budget, no other tax from hidden gains. The only thing which I miss out on is that post 12 lakhs, I was seeing you, Arnab, immediately after the budget when the tax cuts were announced. You were asking what are these slabs about. So that's a little bit of disconcerting thing that if your income is more than 12 lakh 80,000, then you suddenly fall in that 20% slab. So if you are getting an income of 13 lakhs, you'll end up paying 20% tax. It would have been much nicer if you had a straight clean slate till 12 lakhs and then you start from base zero. But if wishes were horses. But it's a good budget. There is a lot of emphasis on a number of key sectors, whether it is water, whether it's startups, whether it is infrastructure.
Yeah, carry on, please. Yeah.
So it's a good budget, but there is, that something which is missing is, like if you notice in January alone, the foreign institutional investors have sold upwards of 2 lakh crores in the Indian markets. So what are they seeing which we are not seeing? Why are they selling out? And when Monday comes and next week, we'll have to see what is the global opinion building on this budget. How do they read it? How do they see it? And then we can come to a meaningful discussion on whether we can seriously hit the 8% target in definitely not this year like Ajay Bagga was saying, in the next 2 years or so. Because even the chief economic advisor of this government is predicting 6.5 to 6.8% growth. So whatever the measures are, by the time they take their effect, if the rate cuts do happen, the RBI does cut rates, which will be a very difficult thing for them to do, considering what the Fed Reserve has done in US and what's the global environment and where the inflation is. But they may go in for a 25 basis points cut, inject more liquidity. But a lot of work implementation-wise, the intent is there. The fine print, the details are there, but how they are executed, how they are accepted. But one thing again I would like to compliment the government on, which the finance minister repeatedly said, that this is a government which keeps its ear to the ground. That's true, because rural consumption was good. But still our economy in the last numbers we got was 5.4% growth, the worst in several quarters. Then the reason was that urban consumption was really lax. So that has been addressed by this income tax cut.
In fact, that's
and
been
let's
a,
hope
that's been a
that
change.
good tidings follow.
That's been a change. I want to go to Rajat on that, then I go back to KV and the macro debate. That's been a change, Rajat. The government has its ear to the ground. After the elections, particularly after the election results, I think the government is avoiding extremely hard economics at the cost of its own popularity, which is good. The BJP realizes it needs to be strongly in power in states at the center in order to be able to direct policy. I think that's also one of the reasons they have pleased the middle class. Rajat.
Absolutely, Arnab. I think it is BJP, the current form of BJP has largely been thrusted by the middle class. It was the exuberance of the middle class around Prime Minister Modi which catapulted him to unprecedented mandates. And therefore, what we were realizing was that over the past 2 years, the freebies that were being spread out by these, spent by these state governments was actually pinching the middle class. When they were seeing that these Ladli Behna, Pyari Behna, all of this was happening on one side, they were feeling that they are carrying
left out
the burden of the entire nation on their shoulders. And this was hitting them. They're like justice, the scales of justice were tilted absolutely against the middle class. A lot of our peers were starting to look at Dubai as alternate tax residence because there is no personal tax, and everybody was reaching to a tipping point. And I believe this is where the government, who has consistently ensured that their ears are to the ground, came in and addressed it not by small tinkering. They went in for a middle-class bazooka. There cannot be a better term than that. A tinker is what the opponents or the opposition party was looking at. At best, Kejriwal said, can the government look to increase it to 10 lakh?
10 lakh, but yeah.
With a through-and-through approach that we need to give cash at hand. I also respectfully disagree with KV sir's tweet because I also believe that, the household saving has also reduced significantly in 2023. So the saving numbers might not sort of reflect that people would have greater tendency to save also this year because the household savings were net lower. Also, you need to keep into account that this capital, had it gone into the infrastructure spend, possibly it would have also created certain alternate opportunity value for that capital. So you cannot necessarily say that the extra delta that is coming, which KV sir has pointed out, that will go up to 9%, it not happen.
But one thing is interesting. It's not just about KV's tweet.
Absolutely right.
It's not just about KV's tweet. The needle has moved, Sushil. The needle is now about 8%. It's not 7%. The expectations have risen, haven't they?
Absolutely. So if I can please, I'm missing Suhail Seth. I'm missing Suhail Seth.
No, you don't have to miss anyone. There's Santosh Mehrotra.
ये जो हलवा खिला दिया bureaucrats को, public को हलवा नहीं मिलेगा. अभी सीधा गाजर का हलवा मिला है. It's from 7 lakhs to 12 lakhs is a 70% rich dollop of tax tops. Now I want to just bring in one key interpretation here while so many other points are getting made. If a government expresses confidence in placing more money in the pockets of people, कि आप जाके खर्चा करो, आप मेरे ही जितनी समझदारी से खर्चा कर सकते हो. Either the government could have taxed in and spent it itself, or the government has given people to spend that money. So government is stating that मेरे को जो infrastructure में जितना push लाना था, now infrastructure is on a self-propellant mode. Build, operate, transfer, BOT, so many other financing mechanisms. That infrastructure is no longer in need of, those crutches from the government. So government prepared that atmosphere where now, spending is going to drive, internal consumption is going to drive the economy forward. And that's...
And things are happening together.
It's an expression of confidence.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
What is the size of this population that is earning from 7 lakhs to 12 lakh?
See,
this comes into I'll say it's not the lower middle class. It's a middle class. And what is the percentage of population? What you are expecting? See,
I'll answer it as follows. Allow me to answer it. Allow me to answer it.
Yes.
You can either be a bee or you can be a honey bee. The problem with Indian opposition is
Santosh Mehrotra on
it
the other
always
side.
chooses to be a bee. आपको कचरे के ढेर पे जाके बैठना
So
है.
what I'm saying is, yes, there is a size of population that will benefit via increase in their disposable income.
This was only the size of population.
I don't know why I don't know what this debate is. KV, let's go back to KV. Let's go back to KV and Ajay. Let's go back to KV and Ajay. Lokesh, let's go back.
1 or 2%.
Let's go back to KV and Ajay. And because, Santosh Mehrotra also has admitted that Modi has more or less beaten the global curve. He's not saying he hasn't. When Santosh Mehrotra said today that we will go beyond 8%. It's a matter of time. Yes, we did it in the past and we're going to do it now. But you said that.
We can. We are capable of.
Say we will. Be positive. Be positive. Be a positive person. Say we will.
Trying to be as positive, humanly positive as possible, Arnab. बात सुनो तो मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ.
Yeah, with China going to 4.4, we are looking at 8. Still doesn't make you positive.
China went to 9 to 10 for about 30 years. क्या comparison?
KV wants KV. You're hearing this, KV? Yeah. I think you're moving the needle. KV.
I think, I wanted to respond to an earlier comment about, institutional investors moving. What are they seeing that we are not seeing? There is a thread here that I want to actually address. Somehow we seem to actually, sort of deify those that are actually in advanced economies. And here I must point out that, during COVID, the Indian government had the courage of conviction to actually implement policies that were different from those of the advanced economies. The advanced economies actually decided to spend like there's no tomorrow, while India actually chose to do a balanced mix of supply and demand side. So this thing that, if anybody in the, in advanced economies is doing something, it has to be actually well thought through. I think that kind of perception really needs to be, addressed. And I think it is related to even the income tax, even the monetary policy cut. Why should it be the case that basically Fed does some, RBI has to mimic? No, RBI should be thinking for itself. And I think this is the point that I want to, whether it's India Inc., whether it's the regulators or the Indian government, now need to have the courage of conviction to think on their own, not just mimic what the advanced economies do by thinking that, they basically know it all and therefore we should just be mimicking. That's a point
I agree.
I want to mention.
Times are changing. Times are changing. Approach has to change, KV. I agree with you. Ajay wants to respond to you in the last 30 seconds. Ajay.
Okay, Arnab, I don't want to take any political positions. I'll just give factual positions. 2013, India was a fragile 5 economy. I was one of the people who sat in RBI. We got in billions of dollars in an NRI deposit to save the economy at that time. I know what was happening and we repaid it well. So all people who are talking 2004 to 14 was milk and honey. 4 was thanks to Vajpayee that you carried on the momentum. Thanks to what Vajpayee has done for 5 years.
Said, Ajay.
You benefited and
Absolutely
by 2009 you had run the economy into the ground.
To the ground.
Capital formation you're talking, that capital formation, that expansion of credit in the economy led to 16 lakh crores of write-offs. These are the guys who gave money to their cronies and wrote off 16 lakh crores. The Modi had to come and clean it up.
Ajay,
this is what...
Ajay, I was just about to complete the first ever program I have done ever in history where Santosh Mehrotra has not walked out. But looking at the way he's looking, glaring at you right now, I think he's just about to. Just about to.
No, just 2 more.
Just about to walk out.
2 more things.
Give me a chance, I'll rebut him. You won't give me a chance, I know that.
I'll give you a chance.
I want to give 2 more facts, Arnab, if you will allow me. 2 more facts.
1 more fact and then I have a response because I run on advertising. Unlike the Congress party. God knows what they run on. God knows what money they got from the Chinese Communist Party. But 10 seconds, please.
Arnab, the FI is moving out. It's not the first time. But you look at FIs today, the foreign investors have $830 billion that they own the Indian market. Out of that, 20 billion has gone. 20 billion has gone out, and we have absorbed it. Fourth, this FDI, net FDI that, revered Professor Mehrotra was saying net FDI is not worth it, worth reporting. Why is that net FDI down? Because the PE...
Okay, I have to close. Let him reply. Don't want me to. You're full of facts, Santosh Mehrotra. I give you time. No, because I'm the only fair and balanced network in India. I'll give him a fair turn to respond. Please go on.
Arnab, 2 lakh
Professor Mehrotra, please. In the interest of balance.
Arnab, let me make that point.
In the interest of balance.
2 lakh crores. 2 lakh
we must be
crores
balanced.
Now, where private equity funds have made a lot of money in India, 5 times, 10 times money.
Now, sir, you see, Ajay, that's why you are not. Let him reply to you. Let him reply. He's wanting to. Thank you, sir.
I'll take only 90 seconds. That's all I need. And my only 3 points are about infrastructure, because the point about infrastructure is where Piyush Goyal began with, and you've gone on about it, and therefore this has to be clarified for the benefit of your viewers. Firstly, please remember that historically, CapEx, government CapEx, was 2/3 carried out by the union government, 1/3 by the other way around. 1/3 carried out by the union government, 2/3 by the state governments. That has been completely reversed. This is point one. So the fact that now the state governments are doing much less capex and the centre is doing more doesn't suddenly make it as though, there's more capex going on, public expenditure going on. Point one. Point two, the fact of the matter is that CPSUs used to, invest very significantly, and CPSUs have not been investing. Third point, finishing. May I? I told you 90 seconds, I'll be done in 90 seconds. And the quality of the expenditure by the union government, unfortunately, is just on 4 sectors, which are highly capital intensive. They don't generate jobs. The difference between the earlier model, where the state governments did most of the capex, the public capex, it used to be on smaller projects where the jobs got generated. My argument is done.
Sir, thank you. I'm holding on to the record. I'm holding on to he hasn't walked out. 1 second, no. KV, 5 seconds, KV, and then I'm over. Yeah, 5 seconds, KV.
Yeah, quickly, because this narrative on employment is mentioned, let's look at the facts here. In 2017-18, the labor force participation ratio was 47%. In 2000,
okay, no, we're not dropping. 60%. We're not dropping.
60%.
Okay, we're not.
Look at unemployment rate.
Okay, KV, I hate to interrupt you. I'm not dropping my break, and I'm not dropping my record. He has not walked out. Almost emotional tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Mehrotra has not walked out, and I shall see you after a wonderful Sunday. See you on Monday. Good night and goodbye.